Welcome to Sports Overtime here in our digital studio where we record Southeast Sports Plus every Monday to Friday. This week, we preview the best of college football week 6 and talking a little Major League Baseball playoffs.
Guys, I'm so happy to be back.
Welcome
it's been
back.
a few days
Welcome
without
back,
you guys,
fam.
holding it down and killing it, loving it. How's the week been, guys?
It's been good. It's been really good.
Yeah.
I mean, we had number one, a lot of great guests.
Yes.
But two, we're sitting in a really pivotal spot in the Major League Baseball playoffs.
Oh.
And so
can't wait to talk about that.
The Cubbies are 1-1 right now.
Hey, where's your shirt? Where's your shirt? 'Cause I saw that you had it. Where is it?
The good thing is that Major League Baseball pushed all the start times back. The last 2 days we've been on right as the show came on. Today the game will start at 4 o'clock when Central Time.
Yes.
When the show is over, so I can go all
You can
eyes
get completely dialed in.
The baseball gods were looking
Patrick,
at.
a quick Mets update on their playoff run.
Yep.
Okay, great, guys. So back to NIL. Listen,
So mean-spirited.
I just have to. And quite frankly, it's kind of like my pseudo team because I did go watch them at least win one game
And
when
got on
I
the
was in New
Jumbotron.
York City. I know. You know what? I did. That was me. I was very, very proud of that moment. One of the better moments of my career, no question. Guys, listen, lots to get to as we roll right along in the college football season. And name, image, and likeness, Gerhard. I remember sitting at my desk a few years ago. Good God, a few years ago. And I remember when the first news of, hey, we're going to pay student athletes. I think it was DeSantis there in Florida said, we're going to pay athletes. It's kind of started to trickle out from different parts of the country. And everyone said, okay, we've got to do this. And we knew at that point there was going to be very little regulation. There were not going to be a lot of rules. The NCAA had tried to avoid something for so long that it was going to become out of control.
Right.
Now, it's out of control. And now the NCAA is looking to do what they can to get things back put together, put the toothpaste back in the tube, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think because it's so multi-pronged, what you're seeing some open doors, then closed doors.
Yes.
Some open doors, then closed doors.
Yep.
And what affects the small affects the large and vice versa as well. So we're talking about institutions in the way that they're able to handle their money and pay athletes directly.
Yes.
Now we're also talking about companies and individual student athletes. So like what affects the one affects the whole. And I do think it's one problem. It's like one of those things where, like, if you heard the quote, like, the rising tide lifts all boats situation.
Sure.
This is not really that.
No, it's
because one rising tide is here and some other boats are down here and vice versa. And sometimes it affects big time and sometimes small. But one of the first major dominoes as far as an overall NIL collective company we're seeing shutting its doors.
Yeah, let's talk about what the news is that came out just a couple of hours ago. And that is that one of the biggest third-party NIL collectives. And so let's be very specific about what that is. There are these companies that take money from donors, from whoever, whatever, and they help facilitate these contracts with companies, between companies and student athletes, right? So they find such and such company and they find such and such athlete and they marry the two together. It's like an agent, so to speak.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And so these agencies are going to get shut out, and we're seeing that more and more. Part of it is coming on the heels of some new NCAA bylaws that are going to kind of take hold of what the NIL rulings are. So that's a really, really important note. What's happening now is that the NCAA is saying two things. One, that companies, whatever it is that they agree to pay an athlete, if that company does not follow through, schools can no longer make up the difference. Okay, so if Nike is going to pay me $1 million, and then Nike only pays me $500,000 for whatever reason, that Bowling Green State University, where I went to school and played basketball, all-star, all this stuff, right, is going to make up the other $500,000. The NCAA, that's the first prong of this. The NCAA says no longer are schools going to be allowed to guarantee that NIL money.
Well, we saw so many issues of this, and I forget the athlete that was at Florida, the quarterback that was at Florida, who got a deal and then got that deal rescinded. Jalen something, I believe, but we'll get his name.
That was a wreck.
But he was one case study in the sense of like, hey, a deal was set and then somewhat agreed on, and then now the school is trying to find other money to help out. But you're right. I think what this does is cut out a really fat middleman, and I'm not objectifying it, but like what ended up happening because there was such chaos. There was a whole different lane of economy that was just literally created out of thin air.
Yep.
And corporations like this and others were trying to get in on the middle side of that. Make no mistake about it, the student athlete NIL, it was not just some like altruistic thing. It was to make money. It was to make some profit. So for example, let's just say they're making 30 cents on every dollar for the kid that they represented.
Sure.
Well, they were still making money on that. So and obviously this student athlete NIL has gone down.
Yeah.
But if you read more into it, they were looking to get into a merger with Blueprint Sports. And that merger failed. And I wonder if a lot of that failure was because of this new House settlement and then basically effectively cutting these people out.
I think it has to. I'm going to talk about so my conversation with Greg Byrne back during the Final Four. I asked him, and this was before the House settlement was really settled. It wasn't agreed on.
Right,
it was still in the courts. We didn't know where it was going to go. It was getting voted on that week, actually. There in the Final Four, it got delayed. It happened a bunch later, and then it's going to really come into attack next fall. And so what it says is that universities can spend $20.5 million on their student athletes. So that is all that schools can directly pay their student athletes. So they have to take $20.5 million and divide it upon all of their programs.
Right.
So what I understand is that about $18 million for schools that care about bringing in students and revenue and things are going to put that towards football. So $18 million out of $20.5 is going to go towards football.
Right.
Okay. So, and I asked him. I said to Greg Byrne, okay, so that solves like one problem. They're gonna kind of stronghold how much schools can pay student athletes. How do you get rid of the collectives? To which he said, we feel strongly that's going to take care of itself.
Here, we are going to take a bit of a sports and political turn here on our program. Great to be joined by Peter Albrecht, the news anchor right here at WKRG. First of all, news has kind of broken over the last few hours that Paul Feinbaum, the host of the SEC Network, he's got his own radio show, has been in Alabama for a long time, is thinking about running for the United States Senate in the seat that's now vacated because Tommy Tuberville is running for governor of the state of Alabama. Number one, how did this land for you, and what do you make of these political figures going in, or sports figures going into politics?
Yeah, kind of out of left field, I thought. And he said on this podcast that he was kind of inspired by the assassination of Charlie Kirk. It got him to thinking and contemplating a lot of stuff. He's always been a Republican and a conservative guy, so he says now he's thinking about it. He's got to make a decision pretty quickly.
Yeah.
January is qualifying, and the primary, which in the state of Alabama is the election, de facto takes place in May. So it's not a lot of time. If he's going to do it, he needs to do it quickly.
Absolutely. We talked about Tommy Tuberville and his run to that Senate seat, and then now he's going to take over as the governor. What do you think from a political standpoint will Paul Feinbaum's next move have to be? Because obviously he has a very high-profile job. He can't do these two things at once, try to run for that seat and his job right at the SEC Network. Yeah,
it's a curious deal, and even if he waits till football season is over again, that's kind of pushing it. Tuberville got in. I think maybe that's opened the eyes of a lot of different sports figures. Bruce Pearl thought about it very seriously.
Yeah.
From what we're led to believe, he said he decided against it. So I think, Tuberville getting in kind of opened up that concept. And then, of course, the Trump administration is full of media people. And so, I'm not sure if Feinbaum has a relationship with the president, because whoever the president endorses is going to win that race, no matter the money or what else. But there's a couple other strong candidates in the race. Steve Marshall, the attorney general for 8 years in the state. And also Barry Moore, who's a congressman who now represents part of our area here in Mobile, Baldwin County, on over to the Wiregrass. He's been in Congress for about 6 years, but he's a very conservative guy. He's in the Freedom Caucus in the U.S. House. So if you're looking for a super conservative, he would be that person. And in a primary, that's who's voting. In a Republican primary, typically are very conservative voters.
Absolutely. Paul Feinbaum made mention of this on Outkick the Coverage on Trey Clavis, or Travis, what's his name? Clay Travis from Outkick the Coverage. He was on his show. He was very vague, Pete, about who basically talked him into this, or maybe said, hey, put a bug in his ear. Who do you think it might have been that said? He said somebody that's kind of high up in Alabama government, and is somebody that you think that maybe that is aligned with the Trump administration that told him, hey, think about this.
Yeah, I really don't know. I mean, his name recognition would be off the charts. People might know, even people who are in Republican circles probably know Steve Marshall, but they probably don't have strong feelings one way or the other about him. Barry Moore, he is in Congress, but if you don't live in his congressional district, if you live in one of the other 5 in Alabama
Right.
that he hasn't represented. You might not really know much about him.
Yeah.
So there's a name recognition is worth a lot. But even with the name recognition, if Trump stays out of an endorsement, you need a lot of money to run a U.S. Senate race.
What is that from a political standpoint? How much money will need to be raised in order to win these kind of things?
They say in an open seat, to win an open seat, typically what's been raised and spent is $32 million.
Wow.
Now, you think about that nationwide, a lot of that might be in districts where you not only have to run in a primary, then you have to run in a general election against the other party. Here in Alabama, really not so much. If you win next May, if you're a Republican, barring just some sort of scandal like we saw with Judge Roy Moore back in the 2017 election with Doug Jones, the Republicans going to win that.
Right.
So let's cut that in half. That's $16 million. You know, and can you raise $16 million between now and May? I don't know if you can.
It is going to be really, really hard. Political figures or sports figures stepping into politics is not anything new. Tom Osborne, the great coach there at Nebraska, did it. Bill Bradley has done it as well.
Back, Jack Kemp back from the AFL football days. So.
From a guy from your perspective, and you've been in sports and you've been in news for a long time, this Venn diagram of sports figures going into politics, why does it seem to work as well as it does? And do you see this kind of in that same vein?
You know, I think they're celebrities first and foremost, and we're a celebrity-obsessed culture in this country, no doubt about it. I think people, who are around athletics are competitive. They want to win, if they've been coaches or players, and they see that as another arena maybe to get into. I don't know.
Yeah.
One question I'd ask about Paul Feinbaum, and you might know more than I would or have some thoughts about it, is he's very well known, but is he very well liked? Those are two different things.
That's true.
And you might listen to Feinbaum, might be very popular, but that doesn't necessarily mean you like him if you listen to him every day. I don't know.
That's exactly right. That's a really good point, though, too, because he's been such a polarizing figure on the radio.
Right.
I wonder if that will continue to the ballot box if he still has this split vote there.
Well, right. Well, part of the personality, you get people to listen to you on the radio is to kind of go on the edge and aggravate people and that kind of thing. So, again, we'll have to see how it plays out.
Stay with us here on Sports Overtime, and of course you can watch our show Monday through Friday on your free WKRG Plus app. Catch us on your Roku, Apple TV, or Fire TV device. What's the overall vibe been like there in Arkansas, and some of the ways that they're trying to put the pieces back together for the final part of the regular season?
Well, guys, clearly a change had to be made. It was just a matter of what that change would be. Could they've gotten by with some defensive staffing changes, hung on to Pittman? Would it have possibly been the athletic director? Could it have been a full house cleaning? Who knows? This is what they came up with. But it was very clear at the end of that Notre Dame. It was when, not if, Sam Pittman would be done. And would it just be, the idea of like, well, hey, we got to get some things in order. He could stick around for a little while, whatever it would have been. There was nobody that walked out of Razorback Stadium after losing that game by 43 points in the way they got dismantled. And to see a very clear decline on the program. You're right there with Ole Miss. You're right there with Memphis, but that's Memphis.
Yeah.
All due respect to a Tiger team that's probably going to win, 10, 11 games this year. That's not Ole Miss. So they got worse in there. And, from week 1 to week 2, and now the third straight week here with the third straight loss. The whole thing was just off the rails. A change absolutely had to be made, and unbelievable that they're firing coaches in September. It's crazy.
Trey, I mean, at the top of the hour, we talked about the Arkansas defense being some of the worst in the SEC so far. It seemed like when I was watching that game, it seemed like the effort wasn't there. Do you think Pittman lost the team ahead of his final game?
Absolutely. I think this is a climate of what you get in modern day college athletics. You go out and you're open for business, and you bring in guys that are out for their best interest and their bottom dollar. So essentially, these are pretty much just mercenaries that are hunting paychecks. And, you lose a tough one to Ole Miss. Well, how are you going to respond? Well, you lose again, blowing an 18-point lead, fumbling the ball away. It was going to be really hard to keep their attention, and that all fell on the head coach, and they couldn't do it. I think very clearly, I'm not signaling out any player, but collectively they quit. They weren't running to the ball. You had guys naked in that Notre Dame offense. I mean, there was nobody anywhere close to them. Not just missed tackles, but just a lack of effort. Like not even getting a body on a guy. And yeah, I mean, I guess you want to generalize it and be like, well, the head coach isn't out there making tackles. He can't do anything about that. Bullcrap. You don't believe in what you're doing. The message gets lost. This is what happened. You get mad at your teacher. You get mad at mom and dad. You tune them out. It's just a way of life. It takes a really special person to try and keep all that together. Sam Pittman's a fantastic guy. I wish really well for him. Really, really do. Wish so badly it was going to work out. And mark my words, I say this with a ton of confidence. They will never find a guy that wanted the job and believed in how special the job was as much as Sam Pittman. But guys, that's just not enough.
Yeah.
Just, being really happy to be there and having a lot of pride and all that. You got to get results. 32 and 34, he had been given nearly 5.5 years. He got I'll never, feel bad for somebody getting an opportunity to coach in the SEC, coach in the NFL, whatever it was. Was it a fair opportunity? Or we could argue that all we want. Even the athletic director saying like, well, we got to increase resources. Well, that indicates that Sam Pittman didn't have the resources to compete, and a change has to be made.
All sources are pointing to there is one guy that everybody wants, and the fan base wants him. The boosters want him. This is a guy who has a lot of support, and that is SMU head football coach Rhett Lashlee, okay? Yeah. You have heard his name probably at every coaching search. That's because, let me tell you, it starts with number one get, Rhett Lashlee, everybody else. Everybody else. It's like he is the person that they are targeting so much right now, and for good reason, too. The fans love him because, hey, there is nothing better than having somebody who understands what it means to be a Razorback, be your head coach, right? And so he was a former quarterback at the University of Arkansas. Not only that, he's from Arkansas, Springdale native, from NWA, man, got ties here, got family members here. So look, there is a lot of support for him right now. I'll say this, some big boosters even throwing their support behind him going, you know what? We will get a package together for this guy. SMU, I get it. You're from money, but we are going to try and play with the big boys. We are going to put together a nice NIL package for him. We are going to basically make it so hard for him to say no, right? And so he's your top pick. If for some reason Rhett Lashlee says no, if for some reason, because you guys know how this works, coaching searches are always strange, and things happen. The next name, their number 2 option, right? How it was described to me is like 1A, 1B, right? Because they wouldn't be sad about this option. It just wouldn't be their first option. Is Tulane head football coach John Sumrall.
Understandable.
And he's going to show up in every single coaching search right now. I mean, who doesn't want to hire this guy? And what he's been able to do at Tulane, what he's been able to do at Troy. You want to talk about a guy who's proven that he can build a program.
That's true.
It's this guy. So he's your second option, and he has, as sources have confirmed to me, his agents have reached out. There have been conversations there. And so there is interest. So do you get to your second name, right? Does Rhett turn down the job? Do you get to your second name? I don't think they get past those 2 names. But if they do, for some reason, because coaching searches are weird and somebody's going to go coordinator, something weird is going to happen and they're going to get to their third name. I don't think they'll get past this guy, is Dan Mullen. And so Dan Mullen has reached out. His people have reached out. He is very interested in the job. My sources tell me that he is very interested and that he'd love to be coaching at Arkansas. And this is a guy that I will say, guys, full disclosure, I'm a UF alum, okay? So I covered Dan Mullen.
That's true.
I know him very well. Good guy. And I think they were very quick to fire him there. The fan base also thinks they're very quick to fire him there. And I know the narrative is that, he can't recruit and whatever, he's a great coach, but he can't recruit. To that I say, just put a staff around him, give him the resources. Dan Mullen with resources? Scary. Look at what he was able to do at Mississippi State. Look at what he was able to do at Florida before they quickly got rid of him for, whatever. The rumor mill says that he ticked off some people, and I get it. If you ticked off some people, Dan, I get it, okay? But now he's over at UNLV. He's got them rolling. That man does more with less. continually over his career.
Stay with us here on Sports Overtime. And of course, you can watch our show Monday through Friday on your free WKRG Plus app. Catch us on your Roku, Apple TV, or Fire TV device.
When you see guys like Chauncey Bowens having a breakout game, when, Dwight Phillips, Josh McCray, when you see these guys starting to come into their own, like, that is a big, big deal, okay? And, I'm really excited to see where that running back room goes. Who was one of Kirby's assistants? He was over that running back room.
Mm-hmm.
Del McGee is a Columbus product, so I have, plenty of knowledge about him. He was over that running back room, and he was a big reason why Georgia has had so much success in their ground game over the last decade.
Thanks for joining us here on Sports Overtime tonight. Keep in mind, you can watch our show, Southeast Sports Plus, Monday to Friday from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Catch us on your Apple TV, Roku, or Fire TV device. Good night.